Calling to order the October 23rd, 2023 meeting of the Auburn Board of Selectmen. This open meeting of the Town of Auburn Board of Selectmen is being conducted both in person and remotely, consistent with Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022, which suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all meetings of public bodies are allowed to participate remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, dial 1-408-650-3123 with access code 235-235-861. Or the public can join via computer at global.gotomeeting.com/join/235-235-861. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Please note, this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. We're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
C and 6A?
Yes.
Okay. I'd make a motion that we move up items 5C and 6A in that order.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The chair is a yes as well. So 5C?
Yes. Tax classification?
Yep, it's the tax classification.
Good evening. Seth Willard, Assessing Division. We had preliminary targeted November 13th, 2023 as the tax classification hearing date. I think it's vitally important that we do it on that date. We just had a software upgrade. We're not sure how that's going to play out in terms of the billing, and we plan on starting the billing at the end of November. Just in anticipation, if there's issues, we'll have a couple extra weeks. So it's kind of a line of dominoes. If we have it on that day, the Department of Revenue should verify the tax factor that was chosen by the Select Board within a couple of days. And the following week, the Collector's Office, I believe, would have our liens done. And then we would roll into the following week, which would be the billing week. It's the last week of November, so. Questions? Questions?
Just the general one. How will you know, or how are you testing? You're starting early, so how are you testing to make sure that the bills are correct? I guess that.
The software is Munis, and there's 3 versions. There's a test, a train, and a live or a production. So we're going to start probably even a week earlier or a week and a half earlier in the test or train version. In the past, I'm not an IT director, but in the past, some of them get updated and then some of them don't, but I think I'll check with the IT department. As far as I know, they all 3 get updated at the same time now, so we will start the testing process earlier.
You have sample bills that you know are correct, and then if
the actual,
it comes off a little, it doesn't add up with your calculation, that's how you test it.
Right, yeah. We don't have the actual print bills, but we'll look at all the values and tax rates and see that all the numbers correspond.
Thank you.
Well,
Is Monday, November 13th, will that work for board members?
yes.
Madam Chair, that's a regularly scheduled meeting date. I do support the request for November 13th. I was part of an anxious run when we went through this the last time we upgraded Munis, and it took 3 weeks to resolve some of the issues, and it created a lot of anxiety. So I think by allowing this to move forward on the 13th gives Seth and his department ample time to work out any of the kinks that may result of that upgrade.
I'll make a motion, we set the tax classification hearing for Monday, November 13th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
The chair is a yes as well.
Thank you.
What was the other one we were wanting to move up?
Green Communities Grant, 6.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So, Madam Chair, I'll take that item. I had a discussion with Brooke Holgren, who's our energy manager, who has indicated that the application period is now open. She's been working some time with the school department on a project that has been a priority in terms of payback, in terms of energy efficiency, because a lot of these projects are rated in terms of a priority and payback period. This would be for an enhanced new HVA system at Bryn Mawr School. I believe they got cost estimates up until Friday of last week. The cost estimate came in slightly higher than 200,000, it was about 220 some odd thousand. I asked Brooke, I said, in the event that the bid is higher than the grant amount, which is up to 200, how do we bridge that difference? And she had a conversation with the school department. They have identified some capital funds that they could apply in the event the cost exceeds the maximum of $200,000. So with that being said, we're looking for authorization from the board to file for the grant and accept those funds if the grant award is made.
Do board members have any questions?
I'll make a motion that we authorize the town manager to apply for, accept, and expend an FY 2024 Green Communities Grant up to $200,000 for the HVAC system at Bryn Mawr School.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The chair is yes as well. Okay. So go back to 2. There are no public comments today. There are no presentations or public hearings. We do have a communication in our packet from the planning board. It does look like the citizens who put the warrant article for the Whitman Bailey Drive are requesting to withdraw their petition. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay, so we're going to move on to select board general items. To the vote to accept the 2023 capital fund program for Auburn Housing Authority. I believe the Housing Authority has asked us to push this to the next meeting as well. They weren't able to be here tonight, so they wanted to send somebody.
Madam Chair, just a couple of comments relative to this item. And I know a board member has had a concern about this, and we made a request last week for some additional information relative to what you received and is included in the packet that would detail the actual capital items as summarized in that one sheet. That request was made Wednesday or Thursday of last week, and that has not been provided yet, although we got a call this morning asking if we would defer this item until the board's next meeting, which would be on October 30th. So I guess they had trouble sending a representative, either from the Housing Authority or from the director herself. So we will put this on the agenda for October 30th.
Great. Are there any questions? Okay, next we're going to have the annual vote on the schedule of fees and schedule of fines. They are included in the packet. Does anybody have any questions?
Just for the record, nothing has changed from the previous year.
No, so annually, we send it out to all the departments asking if they're making recommendations or any modifications to the existing fee and fine schedule. We have received no feedback, or what feedback we received is there is no change to the current fees and fines. So it's presented as it currently stands, but it does require a vote of the BOS.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the fee schedule for 2023-24 as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The chair is yes as well. Is there a motion for the fine schedule?
So moved to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The chair is yes as well. So for proclamations and recognitions, we have none. We do have a gift acceptance in the package for the Auburn Firefighters Association in the amount of $2,050.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion that we accept with gratitude and that a letter be prepared for your signature.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair is a yes as well. So that moves us to board budgeting priorities for the town manager items.
So, Madam Chair, this is an annual request we make of the board. We'll soon be starting to prepare the FY 2025 budget. We normally wait until the action of the fall town meeting. That gives us the baseline for the next fiscal year. It's important that we learn of any priorities that the board may have so we can address them early on and give that consideration as we're building the budget. So we tried this outreach early only because it makes it much more difficult to address the needs after the budget has been prepared. So I know Mr. Corain did provide us some information, and we will take that into consideration as we formulate the budget, but I didn't know whether the board had any other items that they would like us to pursue or to address. And certainly we can carry this item over to the next meeting as well, if you like. We still have some time, but we're going to begin that process pretty shortly. So it's important to get some direction from the board if there are priorities they would like us to address.
Do any board members have priorities now, or would we like to push this to the next meeting?
In general, I would say let's push it to our next regularly scheduled meeting. But are there any priorities or any contracts coming up, whether they be bylaw employees, whether they be bargaining units that we should be aware of?
So I can say this, and I've made it known, we are making a handful of adjustments in the current fiscal year that we're in. In terms of negotiations, there is nothing coming due. All contracts expire a year from this coming June, so it'll be June of 2025. So we will meet all of our contractual obligations as outlined in FY '25, but in terms of any other adjustments, which we're trying to satisfy that this year.
Just as a follow-up, are there any capital items that are out of the, or maybe out of the ordinary per se, that you're planning for or you're thinking might be coming before us?
I can tell you, as the five-year plan is currently outlined, we know we have to make some adjustments to the values because the cost of these items have gone up. I think we've all, or especially in terms of vehicles. One of the items that we are going to build into the capital is the new sidewalk program, and I think that was identified in Mr. Corain's email to the board. That's something that we're committed to, and that we were going to program in anyway. Outside of that, nothing really out of the ordinary other than standard capital items, but certainly we will know. I think we received the majority of the requests already, right, Sharon, on the capital?
Just a few.
So this is the time of year we begin to review that and to sit down with the departments and go over their capital requests. I have not done that yet, but certainly this is the time of year we do that. So if there are any new items, I can convey that to the board at a subsequent meeting, but nothing jumps out at me right now.
Just one last thing. If you already have some of these submissions, if you could even just put them on, I don't want to call it a report, but these are items that have been requested, just to give the board a flavor perhaps of what is out there that might need to be considered as part of a budget priority, because that might weigh in on.
We can send you the items as they stand now. We can send you a report. But please keep in mind, those values may have to be amended as a result of our discussions with the department heads, but.
Yeah, I'm more interested just to see what is programmed, just again, as we're thinking about budget priorities, or I'm thinking about potentially opining on anything, it would be helpful to me.
We'll get that to the board members within the next week.
So it may have bearing on this. I know the HVAC reports came through when you were working with the department heads to prioritize. And again, with the cost of everything, I expect that to exceed the money that we had kind of planned for it. I hate to say planned because we didn't vote on it, but I think that might affect what that budget looks like. So I don't know if there's been a prioritization plan on that, and if that helps us to see. And, we'd certainly look at trying to get things done before this, but if things do get kicked to that, I think it would affect 2025.
Great point, and certainly, I'm going to have a discussion with the building commissioner to see if the engineering firm who did that analysis can provide some estimates based upon his recommendation. So that's one thing we're going to pursue. But also, I know part of that study, even though we wanted to use some of the ARPA funds, some of the capital funds have already been earmarked in the CIP plan, for instance, the police department, without relying on ARPA. So that's something we may be able to turn to because it's already programmed in there. But we certainly won't know until these proposals actually go out for bid.
Are there any other questions? So it sounds like the plan is to add this to the next meeting as well for an update.
We can keep this on the agenda for the next meeting and give Mr. Crane and Ms. Kavanaugh an opportunity to give us some direction. We're not really fighting against the clock now, but, the sooner we get that direction, the easier it makes us in formulating a plan for next year.
Through the chair. Is that the October 30th meeting, or it'd be the November meeting?
What would you prefer? I think the November meeting, our first meeting in November is the tax classification hearing, and I feel like that takes some time.
I just want to make sure, especially with.
I would recommend the next meeting, which is October 30th, if we can get some feedback. Because we normally do our budget kickoff, although those are just based on estimates. But if there is a priority that's going to require a significant commitment of general fund revenues or whatever, it would be nice to know prior to our kickoff so we can wrap that into the estimates.
Thank you.
The only other thing, I guess, pardon me for continuing to talk, but has finance been given any direction that the board should be aware of?
So we will also ask the finance committee if there are any priorities that they want town administration to address, but typically they're just acting on a recommendation that's made by the town manager and the CFO, town accountant. They're acting on our recommendation, so they can choose to support that, or they could choose to suggest something other than what we're recommending.
Just was interested to see if they've waited. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so next we have an update on the interview set for our next meeting on the 30th to fill the library trustee's vacancy. The application package for the candidates are in our packet today. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair, we did receive an additional application from the last time we updated the board. They're both available for an interview on October 30th. I can tell you the meetings have been posted by the Board of Trustees and Board of Selectmen. So we're good to go for the 30th, and candidates are available that night
Great,
to participate.
that's great. So moving along, we have no table items, we have no member items, there are minutes in our packets. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Okay, I'll accept them as read. We would just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the chair is a yes as well. We're all set.